A red shirt enters the stadium under the lights. Millions of supporters recognize the color before they recognize the names. For Spain, that shirt carries more than a national symbol. It carries the memory of a team that changed football history. In 2010, Spain reached the highest point the nation had ever known. The World Cup trophy finally arrived after decades of waiting. Iker Casillas lifted the trophy above his head in Johannesburg. A generation of Spanish players became immortal. Xavi controlled matches with extraordinary intelligence. Andrés Iniesta created moments that seemed impossible. Sergio Busquets gave the team balance and control. David Villa turned opportunities into decisive goals. Carles Puyol defended every moment with fearless determination. Gerard Piqué and Sergio Ramos formed a defensive wall behind the midfield. Together, they created one of the most complete teams in international football. Spain did not only win trophies. Spain changed the way the world understood the game. Their football was built on possession. Their football was built on intelligence. Their football was built on collective thinking. Between 2008 and 2012, La Roja dominated world football. 3 consecutive major tournaments became a symbol of a golden era. But every golden era eventually reaches its final chapter. The legends began leaving the stage one by one. The passes of Xavi disappeared. The imagination of Iniesta disappeared. The leadership of Casillas disappeared. The generation that created history slowly became history itself. Spain entered a new period of uncertainty. The world began asking whether La Roja had lost its identity. Could Spain create another team capable of reaching the top? Could a new generation carry the weight of the greatest Spanish team ever created? The answer would not come from copying the past. The answer would come from creating something new. Because the greatest football nations are not remembered for one golden generation. They are remembered for the generations that come after. Before Spain became a football revolution, Spain was a nation searching for answers. The country had always produced talented footballers. Technical players appeared in every generation. Creative midfielders filled the academies. Gifted attackers represented some of Spain's greatest clubs. But talent alone never guaranteed international success. For decades, Spain arrived at major tournaments carrying enormous expectations. The country believed every new generation could finally break the barrier, but the biggest moments repeatedly ended in disappointment. Spain often had excellent players. Spain often had moments of brilliance, but Spain lacked a clear answer to one important question. What kind of football did Spain truly want to play? Other football nations had built powerful identities. Brazil represented creativity and individual expression. Germany represented discipline and collective organization. Italy represented tactical intelligence and defensive mastery. Spain had pieces of greatness, but those pieces did not always form one complete picture. The problem was not the absence of talent. The problem was finding a way to connect that talent together. Inside Spanish football, a different idea was slowly growing. Coaches began believing that Spain did not need to become stronger by copying others. Spain needed to become stronger by becoming more Spanish. The ball became the foundation of the new philosophy. Young players were taught to understand space before chasing the ball. They learned that passing was not only about moving the ball. Passing was about controlling the opponent. The game became a battle of intelligence. A new generation started developing a different relationship with football. They did not see possession as a defensive choice. They saw possession as a way to attack. Slowly, Spain began creating something that had never existed before, not just a group of talented players, a football identity. Great teams are rarely created by one superstar. They are created when every player understands exactly what the team needs. Spain's golden generation was built on that idea. Every position had a different role, every role connected to the same philosophy. At the back stood Iker Casillas, the goalkeeper who carried the responsibility of protecting Spain's greatest dream. Casillas was not only a goalkeeper, he was the leader who appeared when Spain needed him most. In front of him stood a defense that combined strength with intelligence. Carles Puyol represented courage. Every challenge from Puyol carried the mentality of a warrior. Gerard Piqué represented elegance. He showed that modern defenders could also begin attacks. Sergio Ramos brought speed, aggression, and personality. Together, they created a defense capable of protecting Spain's attacking philosophy. But the heart of Spain's revolution lived in midfield. Sergio Busquets became the invisible structure of the team. He closed spaces before opponents could exploit them. He allowed creative players to take risks. Xavi Hernandez controlled the rhythm of every match. Every pass from Xavi carried information about where the next move would happen. He did not simply move the ball. He controlled the future of the game. Andres Iniesta brought imagination into Spain's system. He found solutions where other players saw impossible situations. Together, Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets created one of the greatest midfield combinations in football history. But even the greatest midfield needs players who can decide matches. David Villa became Spain's finishing weapon. His movement created danger before the goal arrived. His finishing transformed opportunities into memories. Fernando Torres represented another kind of threat. His speed created spaces that allowed Spain's passing game to become even more dangerous. From Casillas to Villa, every player completed another player's weakness. That was the secret behind Spain's greatness. They were not 11 individuals searching for glory. They were one team built around one idea, a team that could defend together, a team that could control together, a team that could win together. In football history, some teams win trophies, but only a few teams change how the game is understood. Spain became one of those teams. The first proof arrived at Euro 2008. For decades, Spain carried the reputation of a nation with talent, but without answers. That changed when La Roja stopped searching for another identity. They finally trusted their own. The ball became their greatest weapon. Possession was no longer about waiting. Possession became a way to control the opponent. Every short pass forced opponents to chase. Every movement created another option. Every player became part of a larger system. At Euro 2008, Spain defeated Germany in the final. The victory ended decades of frustration. But it also announced something bigger. A new football philosophy had arrived. 2 years later, Spain entered the 2010 World Cup, carrying a different expectation. They were no longer the talented team hoping for success. They were the team everyone wanted to defeat. South Africa became the stage where Spain's idea faced the world. Every opponent tried to stop their passing. Every opponent tried to break their rhythm. But Spain continued playing the same way. They controlled matches without needing constant attacks. They controlled space without needing endless running. They controlled pressure with intelligence. The final, against the Netherlands, became the ultimate test. A physical battle challenged Spain's technical philosophy. But Spain refused to abandon its identity. In extra time, Andrés Iniesta received the moment that would define a generation. The ball entered the net. Spain became world champions for the first time. The trophy represented more than victory. It represented the success of an idea. A nation that once searched for its football identity had finally discovered it. Spain proved that intelligence could defeat power. Technique could defeat fear, and a collective vision could become greater than individual brilliance. For a moment, football belonged to La Roja. Every football empire eventually faces the same enemy: time. The players who created Spain's greatest era could not stay forever. The legs became slower, the battles became harder, and the rest of the world started searching for answers. After years of studying Spain's dominance, opponents began adapting. They pressed higher, they defended deeper, they searched for ways to disrupt Spain's rhythm. The system that once looked impossible began facing new challenges. At the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, Spain arrived as defending champions. But this time, history created a different story. The opening match against the Netherlands became a symbol of change. Spain suffered a heavy defeat. A team that once controlled world football suddenly looked vulnerable. The world began asking whether the era of La Roja had ended. The defeat was not only about one match, it represented the end of a generation. Xavi's influence began fading. Iniesta carried the final memories of the golden era. Casillas, once the symbol of Spanish confidence, faced a changing football world. The heroes who created history were slowly leaving the stage. Spain was no longer searching for another trophy. Spain was searching for another identity. Many believed the old philosophy had reached its limit. Some questioned whether possession football still belonged in modern football. The game was becoming faster. The game was becoming more physical. The game was demanding new solutions. But the biggest mistake would have been believing Spain's idea was dead, because great football philosophies do not disappear. They evolve. The next challenge for Spain was not to recreate 2010. The next challenge was to discover what Spain could become after 2010. After the golden generation disappeared, Spain faced a difficult question. Should they protect the past, or should they create the future? For many years, the answer seemed complicated. Spain still produced technically gifted players. The academies continued developing intelligent footballers. The culture of possession remained alive. But the world around them had changed. Modern football became faster. Pressing became more aggressive. Transitions became more dangerous. Teams no longer allowed Spain to control matches as easily as before. The old formula could not simply be repeated. Spain needed to answer a new question. How do you preserve an idea while changing the way it works? The mistake would have been searching for another Xavi or another Iniesta. Because legendary players cannot be recreated, they can only inspire the next evolution. A new generation began growing inside Spanish football. They inherited the same technical foundation, but they developed different qualities. They were faster. They were more flexible. They were more comfortable attacking open spaces. Spain was no longer trying to win every match the same way. They were learning to find different solutions. The midfield became more powerful and dynamic. The wings became more direct and dangerous. The attack became less predictable. A new version of Spanish football started appearing. It still valued technique. It still valued intelligence. But it added something the old Spain rarely needed: speed, physical intensity, and unpredictability. The future of La Roja would not be built by copying 2010. It would be built by understanding what made 2010 special, then taking that idea somewhere new. The rebirth of a football nation does not happen overnight. It begins with a decision to stop looking backward. Spain understood that the next great team could not be a copy of the last one. The legends of 2010 had created history. The next generation had to create something different. Under Luis de la Fuente, Spain began building a new identity. The foundation remained familiar: technical quality, intelligent movement, confidence with the ball. But the new Spain added new weapons. The team played with greater intensity. The team attacked spaces more aggressively. The team could hurt opponents in more ways. The midfield was no longer only about controlling possession. It became a place where Spain could combine control with physical dominance. The wings were no longer only positions to support passing combinations. They became sources of speed and direct danger. Spain began creating a different kind of football machine, one that respected the past, but refused to be trapped by it. At the center of this evolution was Rodri, a midfielder who represented the transformation of Spanish intelligence. Around him, a new generation began emerging. Pedri carried the creativity that had always defined Spanish football. Nico Williams brought speed and courage on the wing. Lamine Yamal brought the imagination of a player without fear. Dani Olmo offered tactical freedom between the lines. Mikel Oyarzabal represented intelligent movement and finishing. Mikel Merino showed that decisive moments could come from anywhere. Together, they represented a new idea. Spain no longer needed every player to be the same type of footballer. They needed different players capable of solving different problems. This was the evolution of La Roja, not a team built around one formula, a team built around many answers. Every great football generation needs a player who understands the game before everyone else. For Spain in 2010, that player was Sergio Busquets. He was rarely the player receiving the biggest applause, but his influence existed in every movement. Busquets protected the structure that allowed Xavi and Iniesta to create. He controlled space without needing attention. He made the difficult things look simple. Years later, Spain found another player who understood the same responsibility, but football had changed, and the new midfielder had to change with it. Rodri arrived as the next evolution of Spanish intelligence. He inherited the ability to read the game, but he added qualities from a different era. His physical presence allowed Spain to dominate more areas of the pitch. His passing range allowed Spain to control matches from deeper positions. His finishing ability made him another attacking threat. Rodri was no longer only the player who protected the system. He became one of the players who could decide the outcome. Against pressure, Rodri remained calm. Against chaos, Rodri created order. Against strong opponents, Rodri gave Spain confidence. The difference between Busquets and Rodri represented the evolution of Spanish football. Busquets controlled the game through positioning. Rodri controls the game through positioning, power, and influence. One protected the machine. The other became the engine of the machine. At Euro 2024, Rodri became the leader of a new Spanish generation. He showed that Spain's football identity had survived, but it had become stronger. The future of La Roja would not be built around repeating the past. It would be built around players who understood why the past was successful. Rodri represented that connection, the intelligence of yesterday combined with the demands of tomorrow. Some footballers control matches with strength, others control matches with imagination. For Spain, creativity has always been part of their identity. In 2010, Andrés Iniesta represented that creativity. He could find solutions inside the smallest spaces. He could turn pressure into opportunity. He could make impossible decisions look natural. A new generation needed another player with a similar connection to the game. That player was Pedri. Pedri did not arrive to replace Iniesta. He arrived to continue a tradition. His football was built on awareness. Before receiving the ball, Pedri already understood the next movement. Before opponents closed him down, he had already found an escape. His first touch created time. His movement created space. His decisions created opportunities. In modern football, midfielders are often judged by statistics, but Pedri represents something harder to measure: the ability to make the game feel slower. Spain's old generation controlled matches through endless passing combinations. Pedri brings that same feeling through a different rhythm. He connects moments together. He links midfield with attack. He transforms possession into creativity. But his importance goes beyond technique. Pedri represents continuity. The proof that Spain's football culture did not disappear with Xavi and Iniesta. The same streets, the same academies, the same obsession with understanding the game. They continued producing players who see football differently. Pedri carries the memory of the past, but he plays for the future. He is not the next Iniesta, he is the first Pedri. For years, Spain dominated football by controlling the center of the pitch. The midfield was where their greatest battles were won. Xavi controlled the rhythm. Iniesta created the impossible. Busquets protected the entire structure. But modern football demanded something different. Control alone was no longer enough. Teams became better at defending space. They became more organized. They became harder to break down. Spain needed a new way to create danger. The answer came from the wings. Nico Williams brought something Spain had rarely possessed in previous eras: pure acceleration, direct attacking, the courage to challenge defenders 1 against 1. When Nico received the ball, the opponent knew the game was about to change. He did not only keep possession, he created chaos. His speed gave Spain a new weapon: the ability to attack before the opponent could organize. On the opposite side, another young player represented something even more extraordinary: Lamine Yamal. A teenager carrying the expectations of an entire football nation. But his greatest quality was never his age. It was his understanding of space. He played with the confidence of someone who belonged on the biggest stage. His left foot created opportunities from moments that seemed impossible. His decisions showed maturity beyond his years. Lamine Yamal represented the future of Spanish football, not because he copied the legends before him, because he represented a new type of Spanish player: technical, creative, fearless, but also explosive. Together, Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal changed the way opponents viewed Spain. Before, Spain asked opponents, "Can you survive our possession?" Now, Spain asked another question: "Can you survive our speed?" This was the evolution of La Roja. the same technical foundation, a completely different attacking threat. Every great team has players who define an era, but every great tournament is also decided by players who change moments. Spain's new generation was not built only around famous names. It was built around solutions. Players who could change the direction of a match when the team needed them most. Dani Olmo represented that modern Spanish idea. A player without a single fixed position. A player who understood the spaces between defenders. He could create, he could finish, he could press, he could adapt. In the past, Spain often searched for players who could control the game. Olmo represented something new. A player who could change the game. At Euro 2024, when Spain lost an important piece of their midfield, Olmo stepped forward. He became a reminder that this Spain was not dependent on one player. Next to him was another type of hero, Mikel Oyarzabal, a player whose importance was not always measured by attention. He represented intelligence, movement, timing, the ability to appear exactly where the team needed him. Football history is filled with players who create beautiful moments. But champions also need players who understand invisible moments. Oyarzabal understood those moments. And then there was Mikel Merino, the player who showed that history does not always belong to the starting 11. At Euro 2024, Merino became the symbol of the unexpected hero. Against Germany, when the match reached its most dramatic moment, he arrived at the perfect time. A late run, a decisive header, a moment that changed Spain's journey. Merino represented something every champion needs: depth. Because the greatest teams are not only built by 11 players, they are built by players ready when history calls. This was the secret behind Spain's new generation. Not one superstar, not one formula, a complete collection of different answers. For years, Spain carried the memory of a golden generation. Every new team was compared with the legends who came before. Every midfielder was compared with Xavi and Iniesta. Every victory was measured against 2010. But this generation understood something important. The past was not a destination. The past was a foundation. At Euro 2024, Spain arrived with a different identity. They still valued possession. But they played with more speed. They still controlled midfield. But they attacked with more aggression. They still trusted technique. But they embraced unpredictability. The tournament became a journey of evolution. Spain defeated opponents with different solutions. They controlled games. They survived difficult moments. They found goals from different players. They proved that their strength was not dependent on one generation. In the final against England, Spain faced one final challenge, a team searching for its first European title in decades. A nation waiting to discover if the new La Roja was truly back. The match demanded patience. The match demanded courage. And Spain found the answer through the players who represented its evolution. Young talents, experienced leaders, players who controlled, players who created, players who changed the game from the bench. When the final whistle arrived, Spain became European champions again. The trophy returned to Spanish hands, but the meaning was greater than another title. Spain had proven that its football identity survived. The generation of 2010 was gone, but the idea remained alive. Rodri carried the intelligence. Pedri carried the creativity. Nico Williams carried the new energy. Lamine Yamal carried the future. Together, they created a new chapter in Spanish football history. Not a copy of the past, a continuation of it. Football history remembers champions. It remembers trophies. It remembers the final moments that decide legends. But the greatest football nations are remembered for something deeper, their ability to create again. Spain's first golden generation changed the world. They proved that intelligence could become a weapon. They showed that a collective idea could defeat individual brilliance. But their greatest legacy was not the trophies they won. It was the culture they created. A culture where young players learned to understand the game. A culture where technique and intelligence became part of the national identity. That culture allowed a new generation to appear. Different faces, different personalities, different strengths, but the same desire to control football. Rodri did not become Busquets. Pedri did not become Iniesta. Lamine Yamal did not become another legend. Because greatness is not created by copying history. Greatness is created by adding another chapter. Spain's journey shows that football identities are not frozen in time. They evolve with every generation. The Spain of 2010 controlled football through patience. The Spain of 2024 controls football through adaptation. One generation built the foundation, another generation built upon it. And the story is still being written. Because the greatest achievement of La Roja was never creating one perfect team. It was proving that perfection could be created again. A new golden generation has arrived, not to replace the legends of the past, but to stand beside them. The red shirt carries the memories of yesterday. The red shirt carries the dreams of tomorrow. And somewhere on Spanish pitches, the next generation is already beginning. Because great football nations are not defined by the era they conquered. They are defined by the eras they continue to create.